wanted to post some definitions and some ideas to you guys. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is how hard it is to define religion. And you might not think it's hard, and people will go to the dictionary and be like, here's the definition of religion. Well, first of all, every dictionary has a different religion. Secondly, there's different aspects of religion. There's the sociological aspect. There's the philosophical aspect, and so forth and so on. Theological aspect, we could go on. But the problem I see is, how does one describe what is religion and only religion? What aspects of religion are exclusive to religion alone? What separates religion from philosophy? What separates religion from politics or other movements, so to speak? I personally think there is no perfect definition of religion. I'm going to share some definitions with you by some famous people, and you can make up your own mind on which ones you like and which ones you don't. And feel free to comment, make video responses if you want to include anything. I know that I am not going to be able to include every definition of religion, and that, I'm not going to talk about Karl Marx and stuff like that. I'm not going to talk about people who say religion is and then equate it with something negative. But anyway, there's two types of perspectives, really, when it comes to studying religion. There's the insider's perspective, and then there's the outsider's perspective. Insider's perspective is people who define religion as part of a religion. So people who define religion from the Christian perspective. There is a definition out there, I couldn't find it, by Tim LaHaye, who wrote the Left Behind movies, where he defines religion in order to include secular humanism in it, and then proceeds to make an argument that the definition of religion includes secular humanism. That's what we call circular reasoning. But I'm not putting Tim LaHaye down, so to speak, just kind of using him as an example. And the reason is that I don't prefer the insider's perspective when looking at religion. I prefer the outsider's perspective, and here's why. Insiders relate all religious aspects to their own religion. And what they do by doing that is ignore or forget the complexity of religion as a whole. And that there are certain things that happen in their religion or exclusive to their religion, which they might include in a definition, for example, that don't exactly relate to all religious ideas. For example, the belief in one God. Secondly, insiders realize only the cosmology of their religious group and don't recognize evidence or ideas from those outside, and therefore sometimes they might attempt to group religions together that share one set of ideas and not others. Or they might, see an attempt to group religions together that share an idea. For example, monotheistic or Abrahamic religions as insulting or not possible because their religion has the truth and other religions are categorized as lesser. That's not going to always happen. There's three different types of religious people. There's the inclusivists, or pluralists, the exclusivists, and then there's the middle of the ground people. The exclusivists are the ones that might hold this second viewpoint. Insiders bring emotional attachment to their feelings and ideas about religion based on their own religious views. So I think this one's the most common. When defining religion and, religious aspects, when people are part of a religion, obviously they are emotionally attached to that religion. And therefore, any attempt to define religion outside of the norms of what they see as religion may be seen as an attack or a personal attack on their personal religious beliefs. Same with, the idea of grouping religions together that they might not agree with, they might see as insulting or not possible because their emotional attachment to their religion. Now, the outsider's perspective is a perspective that I prefer when it comes to approaching and studying religion. Now, I'm a religious person, so this is kind of a harder thing to do, to step away from one's belief in order to see religion as a whole. But I think it's a necessary step when coming to defining religion and talking about the study of religion as a whole. The reason is that outsiders leave emotionally charged feelings at the door when it comes to their studies on comparative and sociological religious studies. And outsiders approach religion not to prove or disprove its validity, but for critical analysis of the religion as a whole and how the practice and growth of that religion evolves and progresses. I think that that's a better way to study religion myself. Not to say that the insider's perspective of religion isn't necessary, but that's more for personal growth than it is for, critical analysis. Let's see. There's 3 different types of definitions when it comes to religion. And, there's different schools of thought on this, and I'm not going to share all the schools of thought, but for the purpose of this video, there's 3 different types of definitions. One could go to the Encyclopedia of Religious Studies and find more, but for right now, let's just talk about these 3. The first is substantive. Focuses on what religion is rather than what religion does. And I'm going to give you a couple examples here of what I consider to be substantive definitions. The first is by Paul Tillich. He is a Christian theologian, and his religious definition states that religion is the state of being grasped by an ultimate concern, a concern which qualifies all other concerns as preliminary, and which itself contains the answer to the question of the meaning of life. So he says that people are being grasped by an ultimate concern, and that concern contains the meaning of life, and it becomes a primary force in someone's life. Well, I think there's a few things wrong with this definition. First of all, I don't think that an ultimate concern that contains the meaning of life is necessarily religious. For example, I don't consider secular humanists or atheists to be religious, but yet many do have an ultimate concern that there is no meaning of life, and that would fit into this definition. Secondly, I wonder if things like nationalism and patriotism, conspiracy theories, things like that could be ruled out of this definition if they concern the meaning of life for those people. And therefore, I don't know if it's lacking something. And I think what it's lacking is the idea that that religion deals with the unseen. And I'm not talking about, conspiracy theories and stuff like that, which may have evidence out there somewhere, but people can't find it. I'm talking about, those things which we suppose in our life that are of divine nature. What it is that we make sacred. And those things concerning not just the meaning of life, but answers to the questions of our creation and eschatological ending. So I think that that definition is incomplete, but you make up your own mind on that. The second one is by Clifford Greets. I believe he's a sociologist, and a religion is for him, this is what he says: a religion is a system of symbols which acts to establish powerful, pervasive, and long-lasting moods and motivation in men by formulating concepts of a general order of existence and clothing these concepts with such an aura of factuality that the moods and motivations seem uniquely realistic. I think he's a bit biased there, a little bit against religion, with the whole idea of the aura of factuality. You know, trying to say that, you know, people put on, you know, clothe something with truth when it's not truth. But, you know, once again, make up your mind. The second type of definition is functional definition. And those are attempts to define religion by the actions of the religious as members of their religion. Now, the one I wanted to share with that is from Melford Sparrow. He's a sociologist. Lots of these people are sociologists or theologians. So, and he says it's an institution consisting of culturally patterned interaction with culturally postulated superhuman beings. And here's the problem I have with that. Not all religion's based on culture, is it? I mean, aren't there different factions of the same religion from different cultures? For example, there's an Armenian Catholic Church. It's very small. And they have all these different cultural rituals that other Catholic churches don't have. But they're still the same religion, aren't they? You know, and does religion have to be culturally postulated? You know, does religion itself mandate culture? You know, I guess those are the questions I would ask about that. The last type of definition is a cluster definition. And basically that combines functional and substantive definitions. And Robert Bellah, he's another sociologist, says that it's a set of symbolic forms and acts that relate man to the ultimate conditions of his existence. And I like that definition a little bit, but I think that a set of symbolic forms and acts that relate man to ultimate conditions of existence leaves out the idea that without the symbolic forms and acts, with the ritual, beneath the ritual there's belief. You know, and so it doesn't just relate man to the ultimate conditions of his existence, but it reinforces a belief within himself that there are ultimate conditions of his existence. At least that's what I would do. Then there's Paul Connolly. I just liked his definition. I wanted to include it. And religion originates in an attempt to represent and order beliefs, feelings, imaginings, and actions that arise in response to direct experience of the sacred and the spiritual. As this attempt expands in its formulation and elaboration, it becomes a process that creates meaning for itself on a sustaining basis, in terms of both its originating experiences and its continuing responses. I think this deals with the evolutionary process of religion, and how religion starts from one small experience and kind of evolves on itself based on the ritual that's contained within that religion. I like the definition, but I still think it's lacking something. You know, help me out here. Tell me what you think it's lacking. The next thing I wanted to talk about is kind of like the evolution of religion.